This is my pet goldfish Carson. I saw him the other day while I was browsing the fish farm. Carson's a butterfly Moor goldfish, which come in orange and black and are known for their butterfly-shaped tails. But what caught my attention is those big round eyes that stick out the side of their head. I honestly fell in love with this goldfish, so I took a drive back to the Simply HQ and decided to build an ecosystem for one of these rare goldfish. I grabbed a brand new 20-gallon tank and took it apart. These goldfish need 20 gallons each, so Carson's going to be our only pet in here, besides a cleanup crew. So I started with a sand bottom. Once our sand was level, I got these smooth stones, but they're way too big to lay right on the glass. So I grabbed an egg crate and broke it up into 4 pieces. These egg crates will support the weight of the rocks. I started by placing our stones in the back and created some small piles. Once I placed all the rocks, it was time to add some plants. I want to add some non-aquatic plants too, so I went over to our 3D printer and designed some plant holders and put them to print. I went to put on the finishing touches to our tank by grabbing these nice Amazon swords. I placed one on each side of the tank to give our goldfish room to swim around. I placed 2 sponge filters on each side of the tank to give the proper filtration needed for our goldfish. The thing is with goldfish, they're basically always eating and pooping, creating a lot of waste for such a small pet. And on top of that, goldfish are built to grow large, so they need a lot of food just to maintain their size. And when I was adding our lid and light to the tank, our print finished, so I grabbed our plant holders and added them to the back of the tank. These 3D printed holders will hold the roots inside so they don't poke our goldfish. Once the holders were in place, I took a drive over to Walmart to pick out a plant. The plant selection they had was very limited, but I ended up grabbing this guy. These plants are amazing for aquariums because they pull all the bad waste straight out of the water. It's important we remove all the dirt because if any fertilizer enters the water, then it will screw up our water levels. So I grabbed some water and rinsed the roots till they were ready. I then separated the plant into 2 pieces and added them into the holder. So these 2 plants above the water are going to work with our plants below the water. With everything set up, we need to give our tank some time to cycle, so I'll be back in a couple days. I came back to the tank later in the week and everything looked great. Our Amazon swords are adjusting nicely and the out of the water plant is thriving. Our sponge filter and plant were covered in beneficial bacteria, so that's going to help the tank cycle quicker. But it's best we stay on the safe side and wait a couple more days before we add our first signs of life. So I took a drive over to the local pet store to test our water, and when I got to the testing station, there was a line, so I went to browse the different foods they had in stock. They had hundreds of different dry food, and I ended up getting some pellets and flakes. And when I went back to the testing station, I gave the guy our water sample, and he told me that we had low levels of nitrates and ammonia still in the tank. He recommended a water conditioner, so I brought the bottle back to the tank and added in a quick dose, and in the next couple days, we can add our first signs of life. It's been a week since we set up this tank. In order to keep this tank clean, it's best we get a cleanup crew, so I grabbed 2 Amano shrimp and an auto-sinkless catfish. These guys specialize in keeping algae away, so I added our cleanup crew in. And right away they went to work. Right now there's not much algae, but these guys will stay busy keeping it clean. It's finally time to go pick up our goldfish, so I took a drive over to the fish farm, and there was a line of people. So while I was waiting, I spent some time looking around at the hundreds of different fish they have in stock. They separate all the fish by species in these concrete ponds. They have everything ranging from a koi fish to a dinosaur fish. This place really has everything. I even found a tank that has red-tailed catfish and clown knife. These 2 fish are my dream tank monsters, but they need a huge setup since they start small but end up huge. So if this video gets 10,000 likes, I'll buy a huge setup and raise these guys from babies. Now that it was my turn in line, and the worker was very helpful. He told me everything we needed to know to take care of our new pet, and he even helped us pick it out. All the employees here at the fish farm are really helpful, so if you ever show up, tell them Simply Tanks sent you. So I drove our goldfish back to the Simply HQ, and I want to introduce you to Carson. At first I acclimated him for a couple hours by floating him in the tank to get used to the temperature. Then slowly added in water ease him into the new parameters. Once I added him into the ecosystem, he quickly started swimming around the tank, exploring his new home. Let's give Carson some time to explore his new tank. I came back to the tank and found our auto catfish playing peacefully on the plant. It looks like he's tired from keeping this ecosystem clean. I also found our shrimp hiding under this rock. I don't know if they're scared of Carson, but he's just minding his business, swimming around the top of the tank. So I grabbed some slow sinking pellets and tossed a few in the tank. These pellets can be eaten at the surface or all the way down at the bottom, so no matter where he's hanging out, it would definitely keep him busy. But our shrimp must have smelled the aroma and came out to find food. That's when a shrimp found a pellet and ran off so Carson wouldn't steal it. That's when I went up a little higher and found Carson searching for the pellets. We just need to be careful overfeeding because he will produce a lot of waste. So I'll give Carson the goldfish some time to eat his food. It's been 2 weeks since we started this tank, and it's best we do a water change to keep water levels in the green. So I grabbed my water change equipment and took 25% of the water out. Water changes are super important. These fish are messy, they eat a lot, and that means waste builds up fast. So if you skip water changes, that waste turns into bad stuff that can literally stress them out and make them sick. So with regular water changes, it keeps the water clean, the oxygen levels high, and your goldfish should stay active and healthy. And now with our water changed, I took a look at our plant above the tank, and it looks like it's adjusting well. The thing is with this plant, in a couple months, it could literally be bigger than the whole tank because the roots are feeding off all the waste from our goldfish. That's why I love building tanks like this, because the fish helps the plants and the plant helps the fish. It's a true ecosystem. I came back to the tank and our goldfish looks a little different. He had these white spots starting to cover his fins. So I found online that white spots on a goldfish are usually a sign of white ick or white spot disease, a common parasite infection that's triggered by water quality or tank conditions. So I went back to the store and got a water testing kit. I'm pretty sure our water levels are doing good because our mono shrimp are doing just fine. And after a quick test, our water levels were perfect. So I'm a little confused why Carson would be sick. And while I was at the store, I figured I'd get some goldfish medicine so we could try to save Carson. I started with adding ammo lock, which helps with eliminating ammonia levels. I also got this medicine that will help fight the parasites that are attacking Carson. This medicine turns the water blue and will add a protective layer of slime to protect the damaged tissue and also help fight the infection. We can also add in some aquarium salt that's going to help promote the recovery and help reduce stress. I came back a couple days later and Carson is still very lethargic. The spots are getting better, but they're still all over his tail. So it's best we do another water change and give him another dose of medicine. I filled our bucket with some water and added in some water conditioner. I then added our pump and slowly started adding in the new water. The Samano shrimp came up to check out the sponge. It looks like he was happy he was getting a water change. But Carson, he's still lethargic. So hopefully after this dose, he'll start to feel better and we can feed him his next food. I came back to the tank and Carson is looking way better. His spots are almost all gone and he's now swimming around the tank. The treatment must have worked because it even turned the aquarium hoses blue. So now with Carson feeling better, I think it's time we try our second type of food. So I grabbed some flakes to help bring the colors back out of Carson. My pets in the river ecosystem love these, so I think Carson will enjoy them too. So I dropped in a pinch of flakes. Carson must have smelled the aroma right away because he went looking for food along the bottom. But once he realized the flakes were at the top, he started to feast. With all this commotion up at the top, it must have alerted our shrimp and he came out of the rocks to grab some pieces that fell to the bottom. So let's give him some time to finish them up. I came back a couple of days later and found Carson doing something pretty cool. He was swimming around the tank, but he was following almost the same path over and over. So I looked it up and it says once a goldfish gets used to their space, they'll start to follow the same route, going around decorations, glass, and corners. It's totally normal and it means Carson's already understanding the environment we built. Most people think goldfish are dumb, but they're actually way smarter than people give them credit for. Once they map out a tank, they'll stick to paths that make sense to them, almost like a little fish highway. So let's leave Carson to enjoy his new route. It's been about 3 weeks since we started this build, so I wanted to take a step back and really look how everything is working together. The plants are growing, the pothos roots are getting longer, and the sponge filters are full of beneficial bacteria. These three are working in unison to make sure this tank stays clean. Our cleanup crew is still active, constantly cleaning the rocks and glass, and Carson is already looking a lot better. He's swimming around more confidently, exploring the tank again. So now it's time for our final food, peas. Peas are great for goldfish because they help with digestion and constipation. So I grabbed some frozen peas and threw them in some hot water to soften them up. Once they were ready, I dropped a couple pieces into the tank, and instantly Carson perked up. He swam straight over and started nibbling on it like it was the best thing he had ever eaten. Watching him munch on the peas is actually really satisfying. Right now, he can only bite off pieces, but once he's older, he'll be able to eat the whole pea. Once he finished, I noticed him cruising around the tank again. The shrimp are busy, and the plants are thriving. This ecosystem is working perfectly. And now, here's the fun part. If this video gets 10,000 likes, I'm gonna get Carson a girlfriend and expand this ecosystem even more. And if you thought this video was cool, then click on this one where I got a pet crab.